love coming into the homes. I say that every time, but it's always nice to see how a person lives, and you can learn so much about a person being in their home. And today, I'm sure you recognize the very well-known Madison Twose. Thank you so much, Madison, for giving me
Thank you
your
for
time.
having me.
Yeah, you've been on my list for a while, and your timing's everything, right? So I was like, I got to get a hold of Madison and see how she's doing. The last time I saw you, I think, was at Christmas time.
Probably at John and Lisa's Christmas party.
Yes, that's right. That's what it was. And we had a little nice conversation. And one of the comments you said to me, and you're like, oh my God, he remembers something I don't.
Okay. This is normal for me.
It was, you have a hard time saying no.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you have a hard time saying no to?
So interesting. So when I first got into business, so I went to university, didn't pursue my degree. Then I ended up transferring into business with my mom. And I remember as a businesswoman, I thought, how do you scale a business fast? And how do you get really immersed in the community and really own it?
Yeah.
And my goal was, I'm going to say yes to every single thing that gets presented to me. So I got really good at saying yes. And as I did things really well, people would say, oh my God, you got to do this really well. And it just kind of kept layering on. Worked really well because I did get very involved, and it's helped me build the network I have today. So it did work. But then at a certain point, I had to start kind of learning the word no and aligning with what I really love to do and things that maybe I didn't feel really brought me that joy. And then so I started to kind of filter what did I love and what don't I love anymore. And then I didn't feel guilty. It took a while, but then I was like, you know what? I can say no.
So that time you were just starting to learn how to say no? Right?
Oh yeah, like probably a decade of yes. A decade of yes. Yeah.
Okay, so you're born in Sarnia.
Yes,
from Sarnia,
born and raised.
Raised here. And I always ask the question, what was growing up like?
Well, I grew up in 1985. My parents had a real estate brokerage in town, kind of a big deal. So I kind of grew up like on the coattails of both my parents hustling. So it was kind of, we had a nanny. We had a great life, like 100% very blessed that way, but it was an entrepreneurial life. That's all I saw. So it actually is probably part of the reason it took me so long to get into real estate was because of how I saw what real estate success looked like, because I felt it and lived it, but through someone else's lens.
So you mentioned so you went to school.
Yeah.
For photography,
right? You're welcome. The lighting's great in here.
I know, right? Can you be a roadie for me? I'll bring you on the road.
Yes.
And I have a ring light. It's just not that big, that's great.
This is good. Okay.
So photography, you got into that, and you had decided, if I remember conversations, that I'm doing this. This was going to be my thing.
I think anything I do, I go in 100%. So it wasn't like I was going to quit school and not get my degree. So that was important to me. But I did minor in some business, graphic design, marketing, because I think about halfway through probably could have felt that this wasn't my calling. But also do believe in starting what you finished and pulling and sponging is what I call it. So what are we going to get from this experience and what am I going to learn and how is this going to help shape me? So that's kind of my approach to that one. And then taking all of that into like a family business where I worked here in Sarnia with my mom in quick service food for about, 8 years.
Yeah.
And that's when I really got to, give back to the community, work with not-for-profits and fundraisers and schools. And I met so many people. It was where I realized I loved giving back and I loved being a part of the community. So that's where I learned that.
You still do that today, I know, but that's a part of who you've become, I should say.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's where does that come from? Where does that value come from?
Do you know what? Not to say that my one parent versus the other, but my mom has always taught me that it's about more than just the thing you're doing, that you have to know why you're doing what you're doing. And if you have a big enough why, people are going to want a part of it. So people are going to want to support me, whether it's from the outside supporting me. People are going to want to work with me no matter what I'm doing if I really, truly have a good understanding of why I'm doing it. And if it's for others.
I got to tell you, folks, before we started this, we had conversation, which is pretty typical. And I said, I feel like we read the same books.
Yeah.
Like what we talked about, when you just said, you got to have a why. Your why should make you cry.
100%.
Right. And what is your why?
I was going to say, we can't talk about it because I cry in all moments of any sort of real feeling.
Okay.
But, you know, for me, I have two beautiful daughters. That's always my why. Like, I think for me, it was before I had kids, it was to give people the opportunity to be their best selves, to figure out how I can help you in whatever it is that you're challenged with, whether it was from me in my last business, how can I help you fundraise? Whether it's in real estate, how can I help you sell your house? How can I get you top job? Whatever your goal was, my love was to figure out, what do you need and how can I help you? And then when I figured that, oh my God, I just love that exchange. It fills me up and it feels like my way to give back to people. And then, you know, fast forward now, it's like, I just feel like there's an opportunity every single time that I'm going to be able to serve others. And I think that's like a non-transactional approach to anything.
Help enough people get what they want and you'll get what you want.
I think if you put others before yourself more, the law of attraction comes back 10 times greater. So the more I give, yeah.
Why, what makes it hard?
Because I think when you're in a career that maybe forces you to give sometimes more than you are rewarded. Now I'm rewarded. Like, let's be honest. I love my job and I'm rewarded for it. But there are sacrifices along the way that I've had to make, or moments where I've had to show up when I really didn't want to. And navigate some pretty tough waters through it and decide to say, I'm still going to do this and I'm not going to fail. And it's always going to just be a journey that helps me continue, because I just have this biggest picture of where I'm going, and that helps me get through all the small stuff.
Yeah, right. What was it like? I mean, okay, you were working business with your mom and you'd done that, you said, about 8 years.
Yeah.
And then you made the decision to switch to real estate. What was that transition like?
That opportunity was given to me. So my daughter Stella came about. And so I was having my baby at the same time that my partner at the time, my husband, was moving his business outside of the city. So I had a baby and bought a house and moved in the same day. So that was hard, leaving my community, leaving my network, and then being forced to have to decide, oh my God, I have no job.
Right.
Okay, so now I have no job, I have a new baby, and I got to figure this out. So probably for the first time in my entire life, I was like in my early 30s and I had no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up.
Right.
Okay, so that was a problem. So I had realized that maybe I had been allowing everybody else's dreams. I was helping everybody else, do their dream.
Yeah.
You know, whether it was my, I thought what I wanted and it didn't turn out to be what I wanted. Then it was my mom's vision and goal with her business. And then I was like, I want to figure out what I want to do. So, sifting through some life discoveries at the time. And I got my real estate license while I was on mat leave in a new city, and had to prove to myself that I could do whatever it takes to become successful.
Right.
And so after my first year, I kind of looked back and thought, I can't believe I did it with no friends, no family, no network, and a brand new baby in the city that I was new to. Right. And I thought I could do this. But then I missed that sense of home and that sense of support and that sense of network. Right. So that's what drew me back, right? So fast forward, 6 years ago, back in Sarnia, and the feeling of being able to serve this community with so much of what I've learned and brought to the table, it feels like a complete picture.
They always come back.
They always do.
Right.
True.
It's true. Sarnia is a unique community.
Can't find it anywhere else.
Right.
Nothing like this exists.
What do you think it is unique about Sarnia compared to anywhere else?
Well, two things. I think for me in my business, number one, I knew that if I wanted to do what I'm going to do here in Sarnia, it would probably take me twice as long, maybe 3 times as long to do it in a bigger city. Okay. So the size of our market, I feel like, is a good opportunity to really rise to the top and really hone your skills and serve a greater number.
Yeah.
Number 2, the water. I had no idea until I left how rooted being by the water, hearing the water, being able to access the water was so important to me. So being away from it made me realize that, this is something I need to have around close by. So that's number 2. And the family. My whole family's here. All my memories are here. I live in the same neighborhood I grew up in. like this to me is home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great answers. You talk about your two daughters. What are their names? Stella
and Piper.
right?
Yep.
And how old are they?
9 and 6.
So busy you are.
Crazy.
So mom, entrepreneur, real estate, and community involved. How do you juggle that?
Well, I'm learning that's an art. So I am not perfect. If anybody actually knows me, knows that I'm a bit of a mess sometimes, in terms of just kind of running around like a chicken with my head cut off.
Yeah, okay.
Just juggling a lot of balls. I think keeping everything in the air, keeping everything moving, ensuring my clients are, always, truly top priority. It sucks. I learn between the priorities of life, but I think my clients know how much I care. And so, over the years, I've been so grateful to have such great clients that they actually really respect me as a mom. They actually really appreciate my level of commitment to my girls. And I think it's actually so rewarding to be at a time in my career where I can actually be present with my girls when I have them, and I can work and kind of design a life that works for me.
Yeah.
It's pretty remarkable.
And what are you teaching them now?
Do you know, I'm teaching them communication. I think being able to understand ourselves is something I just said. It took me like 30 years. I still didn't know myself. So in the last 8 years, I realized how inadequate we are. Everybody, all of us, doesn't matter, to truly say, what do you want? What is it that you want? Do you want to work 40 hours a week? Do you want to work 80 hours a week? Do you want to work 20 hours a week? Like, how do I even go about doing the thing if I don't know what that thing is?
Yeah, that's right.
So I had a coach like back when I was working with my mom, and this always resonated with me. And I used to have it like on my wall in my office. So that's probably why I'll still remember it. But you must conceive of the thing. And once you can conceive it, then you can truly believe that it's possible.
That's right.
And then you'll be able to achieve it.
Do you think we as parents, and we're definitely, it's like, I feel like we should have had this conversation years ago. Again, I feel we're reading the same books and share the same philosophies. Would you agree that parents, in general, we tend to talk our children out of doing things sometimes because we love them, but we're worried that, I always say there's a battery in our head, positive and negative and a relative. Do we lovingly talk kids out of doing things sometimes? We don't mean to.
I think the nature of any parent is to protect their child.
Yeah.
But I think once you get to this part of life, you realize that the things that we thought were failures were actually lessons for us to learn and grow.
Yeah.
So, that's probably a hard one for me because I was like, let's not do that. Oh my God, please stop. Let's not, but I think there is some real magic in letting go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Letting go of, okay, you know what? You want to try it that way? Let's see what happens. And then allow them to
even though we know what's going to happen.
100%. But I know I was the worst learner. My mom used to say to me, Madison, you are like, you just won't take someone's advice. Hey, you're just going to go and do it anyways. I said, yeah, you know what? Sometimes I do want the feeling. I want to know what it feels like. And you know why? Maybe because part of my journey is to be able to express and relate to some, who knows, some people that I need to have that experience.
Yeah, that's right.
So I just feel like it's like a toolbox, right?
Yeah.
We're putting them in. It gets pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Many would say, well, let me ask you the question here. It's kind of a two-part. Success is the opposite of failure, or are success and failure friends?
100%. It's necessary.
Yeah.
You can't have success without failure because, I think most people say, there's a saying that says some people give up right before they were about to succeed.
That's right.
Right? That's so classic. That just means that the filtration system that we have in the world is like, will you show up consistently? Will you continue to overcome obstacles? Will you evolve? Will you commit? That's hard to do. Yeah. And if you do all those things, then you will succeed. But to do those things, you can't expect that you're going to do them perfect every time, right? So it's like, well, can I try again? Well, if I don't try again, I'll probably never succeed.
Right.
And if I fail, I have to be like, oh, I'm cool with that. And what can I learn from that?
And it has to be realistic.
100%.
The same thing, like, the SMART formula, right?
Yeah.
And like, I'm not going to wake up tomorrow and say, I'm going to be an NHL goalie.
Yeah, sorry.
Can't tie skates.
No.
Anyway, but that's, but I think a lot of people also go, well, if consistency is enough. But is consistency enough?
You know what? I feel like it's a puzzle piece. When I talk about business to anybody, like I can think of, I could think of 10 off the top of my head that are needed to kind of come in line, right? So I think consistency isn't enough. Like you have to have a passion. You have to have that. You have to have the systems in place. You have to have a bunch of stuff. That's why I think when you look at it, the amount of people that are successful is far less than the greater population. And that's only because there's only 20% of people that are willing to do all of the things it takes to be successful.
What did we say before? Do today what others don't so you can have tomorrow what others won't, right? You got to do that extra 5% or that. If you want to be average, do the average things. If you want to be above average, that's great. Do above average things. Well, I don't know what those above average things are. I'm 55. I'm still trying to figure it out. But I know I keep going in a direction that I know will get me there.
But you said something that you've referenced, that we're reading the same books. So to a certain extent, I tell people that just because some people pay coaches hundreds of thousands of dollars to get the information firsthand, there's a lot of free material out there. There's books, there's podcasts, there's webinars, there's so much free content to kind of gather to at least get you a pretty good amount of tools. It's just the desire to want it. And that's why it goes back to, what is the thing you desire? If you don't know what you're working towards, it's going to be hard to show up every day.
Yeah. But you got to start too. Like I thought I knew what I wanted to do. I think I knew what I wanted to do. I just didn't know how I was going to go about it. So, I've had several businesses, pardon me, and failed, meaning like it didn't work out the way I thought. So I'm not going to put any more effort into that.
Yeah.
Here's another opportunity. I'm going to jump onto that. And it wasn't like I was jumping all over the place, right? But and the consistency side of things is definitely a part of it. But I think you're right in saying, like, some people don't know what they want. So you got to figure that out. Well, let's talk about a young person.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
19 years old. I don't know what.
So do you want to know what? It doesn't even matter how old you are.
Right.
True.
Well, right.
Okay. Because I was 30. Okay. And I had to look at really, truly, there's a book called The Passion Test. That's kind of where I started. It was about helping you figure out what you're passionate about. Yeah. Because if you can, and what they did was a 3-circle, the 3 circles, and then there's a center point that overlaps. They said, figure out 3 things you're super passionate about. Okay. All these 3 things. And then what is one thing you can think of that would incorporate all 3 of these things? That's what you should do with your life. Yeah. So it helps kind of at least get you on the right path to, like, these are the things that I'm into. Right, and what would really sustain me long term. And I did that. So, like, you'll never guess what was one of my rings was talking.
What?
Talking. And, helping others. And I want to say right now, I can't even, like, business, sales. And, like, to be honest, when I looked at real estate as a career again, for the millionth time, I thought, okay, you know what? It does overlap all 3. I talk all day long. I'm always helping others. And I'm actually able to kind of help. I think this one was coaching and helping people, like developing people. So that's kind of where I'm at now in my career, whereas I want to share some of my tools because I'm realizing that I've done something right over the last 6 years. I have 2 amazing kids. I'm a single mom. I'm still crushing it. What am I doing?
Right.
So there's got to be something. And I just feel like the more I can help others with my story, inspire them to like, I have people who want to start a new business and they're 50 and they've done something their whole lives. And they've come to me and I think, well, why come to me? And I think, well, you did also do a transition and have to keep changing and still overcome obstacles.
Different age of life, but not necessarily a different stage of life.
Absolutely.
And that, you talk about this, but honestly, you have the accreditation of all this. You, in the real estate world, you've won several awards. Yep. What are those awards? So
with EXP, the brokerage I'm with, they reward top performers with a lot of great company stuff. But for me, it allows me to work towards something that shows my hard work, and also the fact that I give back and care about others, because there's a culture component to the whole business structure. So being an Icon Award winner, you have to be a certain production level. You have to be a good entrepreneur, give back to your fellow realtors, and you have to, you know, kind of consistently perform. Yeah. So that just, you know, my girls get excited when I have that. Like, I just love to show them that, you know, I just love to show them that you can do it. Yes, like, you know, right? Even when it seems like it's hard or impossible, like you just, you can.
The statement, find your passion and you'll never work a day in your life. Is that true?
1000%. Yep.
But isn't it still work?
You know what? It is. So that's funny. Like when I do work with people on their quadrants, right? About what's urgent, important, and all these things, your unique brilliance. You know, the things that are unique brilliance to you are the things that you would do for free all day long.
Right.
Those are the things that you catch yourself doing and you're like, oh my God, we've just been here for 2 hours and I've been, you know, doing this with you. Or I just sat and talked to you for an hour about something I'm passionate about, which maybe is empowering you to get out of your own way. And that's something that's passionate. So that's obviously something. Motivational speaking is something I would do all day long and not get paid because I love it and it fuels me. Those are the things that they do say, like, if you stay in that area and I only do these jobs, but like reality sets in and okay, I don't have a huge team supporting me quite yet, but like I got to get out of that box and then I got to go do some things that make money and, you know, manage my business and all these other things. But if I can figure out how to stay most of my time in that area, opportunities, and it'll just kind of flow. So yeah, you're right. There's things I do in my business that I definitely want to get paid for.
Right.
But there are the things when it comes down to the core, I would help my clients and chat with them and build that relationship for free all day long.
But you have to also be willing to do things that you don't like to do.
Yeah.
Like going to the gym. I don't like going to the gym, but my friends
it's good for us. We do
champions do it anyway. Mm-hmm. There's got to be pieces of real estate that you go, it doesn't matter what they are, you go, oh, I hate this part of it, or I don't want to do this part of it, but I got to do it anyway because it's important to my client and because I care for them. Like paperwork might be one of those things. That would be.
You know what? And again, I teach my quadrants. If it's below the fold, you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are things. Someone said to me, and I had this just recently given to me. Someone said, if you try to save money by doing the thing you hate to do that someone else could do, and if I know my hourly rate, I probably shouldn't be doing it. It's costing me money by doing it. So again, it's different at different stages of your career in life. But if it's something I hate to do, then I could probably delegate it to someone else.
Right. Yeah.
And as your business grows, there might be opportunities for you to hire someone. There's virtual assistants now. There's so many ways. Yeah. And that's taken me a while to get there. But you know, now having one, she takes care of all the paperwork, which is the thing I hate to do. So I get to do all the cool, fun stuff. That really matters.
I read that. I don't think I could see you doing paperwork. You'd be like,
well, it is that. But
and that's a big part of
it is a big part of it. But as long as you have good systems, and again, going back to having systems in your business, I think that's what you want a professional to have. You want someone that understands that there are systems and proven concepts that work.
Yeah. I have a friend of mine. Well, a friend of mine. I met him once, but a mentor that I met at a business conference, and he said, if you're 18 years or older, live in North America or Europe, there's absolutely no reason that you should not be generating some kind of an income. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I feel like I had a job when I was 14. So I think work ethic and your ability to want to show up for something and commit yourself to that thing is vitally important to the health of any society, right? You know, whether that's a job or life or our kids or whatever, the ability to consistently show up and give back or support yourself or whatever that is. So yeah, I think so.
Are the 18 plus year olds doing that?
I think there's a split right now. I think there's definitely going to be a lot of kids that have been kind of so well taken care of that they probably don't know how to care for themselves. I was very fortunate to have parents that, although they were very successful people and they could provide a lot to me, they always made me value hard work. and that I still had to have a job and I still had to show up and I still was instilled with that. So I think that's kind of why I have a different mentality than the average person my age. But yeah, I think work ethic is not something you're born with.
Yeah, you have to learn it.
You have to learn it.
You have to be taught it, and you got to be willing to learn it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you teaching Stella and Piper these things now at a young age?
Do you know, I did recently start a reward system within our household so that they could start participating in chores because, again, there was things I didn't want to do. And I thought it'd be great for them.
Child labor, isn't it?
No, it's just like little things. Like I really felt like I hated getting their lunches out of their backpack at the end of the day and discarding all of their debris.
Yeah, right.
I didn't want to do it. I find it really gross. So I said, this is something you can do every day. It's a good routine. Come in. They know to do this. That's part of their thing. And they get a reward. And we have that kind of a system. So as they get older, I think that it's important for them to participate in the household
that they live in.
Yeah. And understand that, like, I think, you know, they need to understand that we work for these things and these things now can't just be given to you, right? You got to earn them. So we try to even get them to earn things that they want. If it's a toy, they have to earn it.
Right.
Not on their birthday. I don't make them earn their birthday presents.
Well, I don't know, maybe. Okay, so you've real estate and food business and just a lot of things. And then you mentioned in there that you would love to be a motivational speaker. How are you going to fit that in? Because you're not busy enough?
Yeah, do you know, I think we're so lucky with technology, right? Truly. So for me, my calling is to try to communicate and help empower other professionals like myself who maybe are going through a transition, maybe want to know how to be consistent performers. Because again, in a commission-based business, you know, financial stability, being able to have consistency in that business is not easy, right? It takes planning, it takes discipline. You know, we talked about what happens when you don't show up to work.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? 3 months from now, I will not get paid.
Right.
So, you know, that kind of mentality needs to kind of be planned out and kind of consistently applied to life. So
you'll figure it out.
I will figure it out. So I think in terms of that, it's not going to be something that I can't leave real estate. I love it too much.
Right.
But digital stages and having opportunities like this to talk to other people about the work that I'm doing as it unfolds, I think is going to be the way I'm going to help others.
Were you told as a child, Madison, you've got an answer for everything?
I thought I had an answer for everything.
Okay, fair.
Yes, I probably thought I did.
Yeah. And aside from getting into the real estate, were there other options you looked at and said maybe, I got to be a lawyer or a doctor?
Wow,
or
that's really
else,
interesting. No, there wasn't a lot of choices on my list. Like I felt like, there's a lot of passions I have. I love interior design. I love home staging. Okay. Like I love that part of my job, but it's something that it was integrated in my business. So I kind of think that it gives me a little opportunity to do those things. I still love photography.
Yeah.
I work with our, photographer, Luke. I understand lighting. We can direct the video. I direct all my own videos. So it's like, those are fun opportunities for me to overlap those passions. So I don't know. I wanted to be a chef when I was younger.
Oh yeah.
But I just didn't. So that would be like kind of one of my hidden secrets.
But you still cook? You do the cooking?
Love to cook.
Love to do that?
Love it.
Okay. All
yeah.
Right. So you must be good at it.
I am good at it. Like I said, I only like to do the things I'm good at.
Right.
So.
It's okay. Fair enough. I'm good at that. That's I would look forward to seeing you set up some. And we kind of talked a little bit before the camera was rolling about some motivational speaking and inspire. And I don't know if you call it motivational speaking. I like to call it inspirational speaking because I think the word motivational has been somewhat misused in the sense of, okay, I motivate you. Okay. I'd like to think I inspire you to get you motivated.
Yeah.
You need to find your own motivation, don't you?
Well, I think you're not wrong. I think what people do when I go to I go to a ton of conferences. So keynote speakers, I eat them up when they're good. Like when you can feel that connection to someone who understands what you've gone through, and can give you some actual tangible things to implement in your life. Like I feel like those are those free opportunities I talk about, is being able to get your hands on people that have already done it that maybe might resonate with you and say, you know what, I'm going to use that in my business and see if that works.
Yeah.
So that's it's come from an organic thing. I get called out a lot for coffee, and people will bear their whole life story to me. And I'm like, oh my, okay, here's what I would do.
Yeah.
And then I always walk away with them feeling like they've been given some gift of like, thank you for the clarity, or thank you for the direction, or thank you. So I think I'm just looking to not just have it that one-to-one and really make a bigger impact and show people that there are some things I've learned over the last, 20 years of being in business for myself, with others, and all of this coaching I've gathered. Sure. It's like, man, this is a lot of information I got.
You got a lot of tools in the box.
I do. Though, right? And they work for me. And I notice that I'm using them and a lot of them, and I just feel like sharing them is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. I like that word impact. I say it in a lot of my interviews. And when I taught at the college, I told my students, take 2 words no matter what you do in your life. And those 2 words are relationships and impact. Right? And a lot of times it'll be someone that you don't even know that is watching. Like I get it on the show sometimes, like I've had somebody reach out and say, you did a show on blah, blah, blah. And it was like 2 years ago. And it's like, that really helped me or something. And then you go, oh, wow. Like I had a gentleman that motivated, inspired me. And his first name is Donald. It's not what you're thinking. It was Donald Sutherland.
Okay.
And as a child, anyway, he was Canada's first professional youngest DJ at 14 years old. And I always knew I wanted to be a DJ, and I did that. So, and what I'm saying is the impact you have on people is often ones you don't even know they exist.
Yeah.
Right. And that's, it's powerful, right? And so those 2 things, impact and relationships, I would say would be a big part of what has helped you build your career.
Like my clients to me are everything, and they know that. Like they some of them are like, they feel like I'm their daughter, or, they see me every year when I deliver the pies. They welcome me into their house.
Just fun, Madison.
They're just, wow. You're so sweet. But like, I think that people need to meet me to believe it, because sometimes, I think we don't know necessarily who they are or how they conduct business. But I just really think that I've been so blessed to have the people I'm supposed to work with, whether it's my clients referring me to people they know would value me as a person. And I just love it. And it just keeps happening. And I keep, showering I call it my database, all my people that love, know, and trust me. I just keep showering them with love, staying connected with them. And, again, my brand, it's kind of big and it's out there. So that paired with the, the commitment to the relationship more so than the transaction is what's really helped me.
It's funny you say that, because like the loving part of it all, because I remember one year you had a Christmas party. It was downtown, and you invited me to that. And at that time, like I sort of knew you. For obvious reasons, I knew you, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't really know you that well. And I got an invite, and I was like, wow, why am I being invited? And I said to Jennifer, says, well, like, and I had something else going on, but Jennifer's like, but you have to go. We have a rule. If somebody thinks enough of you to invite you, you really have to go out of your way to at least show up and thank them for the invitation. You probably don't realize how much that impacted me.
Well, it's interesting because that same thing happened this last week. I had a very special event at a open house, special open house. And, it could have been like any other open house, but I decided that I was going to do it differently. I was going to make a very personal touch. And I called 80 agents personally myself and invited them personally to this event. So the response level, to your point, was actually pretty overwhelming. A lot of people were like, wow, thank you for personally inviting me. And there were some people that I was disappointed didn't show.
Sure.
I get it. Then there were some people that really surprised me. I was like, wow, thanks for coming. Like, it was just that, they were like, wow, thanks for inviting me. And I was like, yeah, thanks for showing up. So it was that level that people were like, thanks for actually picking up the phone and calling. And there was this interesting, or a text message is the worst in our business. True. Yeah. And like the level of like, we were talking in this marketing session about how, things fashion kind of comes around and goes around again.
Right. Yeah.
Same as marketing. Because now there was a time when direct mail marketing, who does direct mail marketing?
It's paper.
That's paper. And we stopped doing it and we went all online. And now they're talking about how sending something in the mail is nice to open if it's value added, right? Or whatever.
A thank you card, like
handwritten
things I
thank you
helped out
cards.
with, and I got a card in the mail from the kids that were involved, and
totally.
And because I don't know, we're either hoping for a check that says Ed McMahon's name on it, if anybody knows who that is, or it's a bill.
Yeah.
And to go and reach in, and then you see this thing, and you thank you so much, and it's handwritten.
Yeah.
A personal note.
Yeah.
Takes time that you did. And
well, a phone call is that's old school. A phone call is now old school.
Oh, I wish
so that would it just reminded me about how businesses evolved and shifted back to some pretty organic stuff, like pick up the phone, make that real interpersonal connection, make that person feel like they're not just a number. You didn't just CC them on this email. Right. So those are kind of interesting things I've been picking up on lately that just mean that connection is more important than ever before.
Well, and again, and thank you for the invite, because I remember, I still remember it. I'll never forget it. I remember getting it and going, me? Like what? I don't know her that. I mean, I know her, but I don't really.
But
know
you
her.
were someone I believed in what you were doing. I knew what you were doing, and I thought you needed to be continued to do it and consistent, and you did. Yeah. And anything starting feels hard.
Yeah, it does.
Putting yourself out there. People always say to me, I don't know how you drive with your face on your car. I'm like, yeah, it's hard. That is hard, guys. Okay, I'm just putting it out there.
There she goes.
There she goes. You know where I am. You know who I'm visiting.
That's why I didn't bring my event van today that has my name all over it.
Right?
Nobody will know I'm here.
Nobody will know. So it is hard. But like I said, I do that to help my clients so that I have a brand that people recognize, so that when I'm on their front yard or on their signs or dealing with people know of me. And
to your credit, you've worked very hard for a lot of reasons to become you.
Correct.
Not because of anybody else.
Yep.
Etc. Yeah. And that had to be challenging.
Well, I think, for me coming into the real estate industry, if anybody knew my father, I didn't want to have to fill his shoes.
Right.
That's how he did it. He did an extraordinary job at doing it. He did it in a very big way, but that's not the way I wanted to do it. Right. So there was a lot of push and pull between him and I about how this was going to go down. And obviously having my girls changed a lot, right? And he had to kind of go along at my pace. And my whole approach to coming back to town was, I want to try to find a way to balance my life. I want to slow and steady wins the race. I'm not here to blow the horn and to create attention to me, even though I drive with my face on my car. I wanted to prove to everybody
that's a branding thing,
that I love what I do, that I'm committed to my clients, that I work incredibly hard to achieve their goals for them, that it would eventually just word of mouth grow. And then when I showed up with my face on my car, it would actually, they'd be like, I get it. Like she's doing something big and I think it's great, versus who does she think she is? So my approach was, I want to prove to you I can do this first, so that you'll respect me once I get there.
Yeah. Good for you. And you've done it very, very well.
It's happening.
Yeah, it is. Good for you. Now, okay, here's a question so I know a lot of people who are in real estate.
Yeah, you would.
And a lot of people in this town know at least 5 or 6.
Yep.
I could probably list 20 or 30 I know. So, and I asked this to all my real estate friends, I am going to have a hard time when I decide to sell. I don't want to say why you, but how does one decide? And some of the answers, before you give yours, have been, we'll write a bunch of names down, throw them in a hat, and pick one. And I don't like that one.
No, I don't like that one either.
Because you might have some talents and skills that I appreciate.
Yeah.
And the other one might not. Not that I don't like you as a person. I just feel like this, And another one said to me, well, pick some that you think you'd like to work with for your own reasons, and then sit them down, and not this interview, but sit at a kitchen table and interview them.
Yeah.
What's your answer to that?
So this is a great question. I get this all the time. I think a lot of people want to know, what do I do when the time comes that I want to pick my realtor? There's a couple ways that people do it.
Okay.
I'll be honest.
All right.
Some people go around to open houses to meet the person they want to meet. So if Madison's on my list and there's two other ones, I'm going to go to Madison's open house and I'm going to go in and pretend that I want to look at this house. Right? Okay.
You're going to know now when I show up.
Yeah, 100%. So they do that. And then what you get to do is you get to watch that agent interact with me,
right?
A person, potentially my agent. How do they interact with me?
Right.
How do they welcome me? How do they sell this house? How do they represent this house?
Yeah.
How do they represent and talk to those other people? So you get to kind of observe, right? Like a fly on the wall.
Okay.
So that's one really great tip on finding your agent. Number two is you got to interview them and meet them. I think it's great and important to do because here's the biggest thing that people don't know. We're not all made the same.
No.
Okay?
No.
We're not. And everybody's situation, that's how I start my conversations. My consultations are, what are your goals? Why are you moving? And what can I help you with? So I need to know those three things so that I can decide whether I'm able to help you. Do my skills help you achieve your goals? And at the end of the day, the last and final thing is, am I a good fit for you? And are you a good fit for me?
Well, I was going to say, like, have you ever
work?
said no to somebody who wants to
Well,
hire
you know, 10 years, I was in the yes game. So
Yeah,
I don't say no a lot. But when the journey gets started with a yes, and there's a moment where I'm not benefiting you and you're not making me feel like have any value to you, then that relationship might need to dissolve. So yes, I guess, yes, I have. Only a few times, but yeah, when it needs to happen, you have to be able to.
Great.
Yeah.
So I guess
anyways, go find an agent, but ask them the question. You'll feel it. Just like you'll get the sense. Do I feel that this person is going to help me execute my goals?
Well, and one of the other things I used to do, and I still do occasionally, and depending on what I'm looking for, selfishly, is where do I spend my money? And who has, like the grocery store, like if I'm looking for prizes for an event or something, where do I spend my money? Gas cards, all this stuff. But I also look at who has supported me over the years with my journey, whether it be financially or an invite to a Christmas party or because those things really stand out. Like I say, the invite to the Christmas party to me, that'll stand out for me forever, which I think was like you sort of said, that was part of your intent, was to say, I believe in what you're doing. And sometimes we need to hear that, right? And many others have done that too. And many others in real estate have done that too. So I'm like torn
I think I say, do you know how many times that happens where someone says, I went to high school with this guy, he's a realtor, my niece is a realtor. And so sometimes the truth is, and in a lot of cases, this is how I won over business when I worked in Milton, when I became a new realtor and nobody knew me. So it wasn't like, you're going to choose me because you know me.
Right.
I would say, this would be my best line. I said, listen, it sounds like you have a lot of options and you know a lot of realtors. Maybe the best bet is to pick one that you don't know so that nobody's upset. So that's how I got a lot of those new opportunities, right?
No, they're just all going to be mad at you.
Right? So just make them all mad. So then nobody's really mad at it. Anyway, but the truth is that you can't feel bad about it. You have to ask the right questions in the interview. You got to decide how you want to communicate with someone. And obviously they've got to have a presentation. They have to have a system. They have to be able to have something that they bring to the table that makes you feel like they're going to do the job for you and get you your goal accomplished.
This is free advice, folks.
Free advice.
Free advice.
But like I said, to most people, I'm always open book. I do free consultations for buyers, free consultations for sellers, whether they're online or in person. I think people should have all the information before making a really big decision. And if it's not me, I'm okay with that too.
Well, you need to be, right? I guess, because although I will say somebody that I know said to me one time, said, yeah, but if you're not choosing me, that's my fault.
Yeah. Like what could I do differently or better?
Or if you haven't even heard of me, that is your problem. Yeah.
So
if you're putting yourself out, because you really do have to put yourself out there. Is this a cutthroat business?
Yeah.
No, it's
on twofold, whether it's coming from another agent, vice versa. Like sometimes people come after your clients, they could come after your business, they could be difficult to deal with. Like, so it's cutthroat in the way of trying to get a listing or whatever, or negotiate a deal. But on the other side too, clients, people are very transient. If I don't respond to you at 8:00 on Saturday or Sunday or whatever, you move on to the next one.
So is this a business that you could do part-time?
You know, I'm pretty sure anything's possible. Okay. I'm not going to limit anybody. Anything is possible. I believe in this type of level of career, like responsibility wise, like my ability to dispose of your biggest asset. It's kind of a big deal. Okay. So I would want to make sure that I'm making the right decision and have the right person in that place. Yeah. So
good answer.
Yeah. So I think that shouldn't be taken
because
lightly.
I know some people that they go, well, I'm gonna start out, part-time. I'm gonna keep my job, and
you may have to. The reality is you might have to, right? But there needs to be so to your there needs to be a plan. So maybe my plan is to work part-time for the first 6 to 12 months so that I can consistently show up and I carve out time that I'm going to produce and show up for real estate and still commit to my other job. Then there's a transitionary plan, 100%, right? Yeah. Not everybody has a spouse that makes money and that they can go out on a limb and walk the plank. They all can't do that.
There's a risk involved.
Well, the risk is this. I say to anybody, if you want to get into real estate, I said, could you survive 3 to 6 months without getting paid?
Because that's what it is.
And they look at me with wide eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm not joking. In the beginning of any real estate career, the average agent sells 5 or 6 houses a year.
Right.
The average agent, do the math on that.
Right.
Okay.
5 times 5 is 25.
Right. So if I sell 2 houses a year, I'm getting paid once every 6 months.
Right. Yeah, because you don't get paid the following day.
You have closing dates and you have to do this. But in the beginning of any new business, I tell people you can't walk out into the world of real estate and close a deal like that. And even still with the time it takes to execute the deal and get it closed to pay you, it could be 3 months.
Yeah.
Even if you started your first day with a deal.
Right.
So, you have to really assess it and look at your situation. And if it's going to be challenging, then you need to kind of figure out how you're going to overcome
those. But you just said too, you took kind of in a point, and the reason I asked the question was, if a client calls me at 2 p.m, and I'm at my job, and I'm your boss, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, what are you doing on the phone? You're supposed to be working for me.
You know
right
what?
now.
And on the opposite side, look at your client. You're not serving your client, because what happens is that if I need to negotiate a deal on a house and I'm trying to get in touch with your agent,
schedule, not yours,
and your agent's at another job, and I can't communicate to your agent to help put this deal together for you as the buyer, that's a problem.
Yeah. So
I think that it's a challenged position. I would say I wouldn't want to put that level of trust into someone who does it part-time.
I'm with you on that.
Like, sure. I think whatever you do, 2 feet, jump in, make it work. Yeah.
So, okay, let's forget the real estate stuff for a little while. What does Madison do for fun when she's not with the kids? She's not talking real estate, which is all the time anyway.
Yeah, literally.
But what do you do for fun?
What's funny? That's a hard question for me. It should be a lot easier. I told you I love to cook. So cooking is something I don't do a lot of. I used to when I was in my younger years and had lots of time. I love entertaining and hosting. So that is still something I love to do. I love the water. I love being on the water. I love being on the beach. I love the sunshine.
Do you have a boat?
No, God, no.
Make friends with people
for that. I have lots of friends with boats. But for me, I don't have a lot of those. I'm learning those things again. What things that fuel me and what make me happy. But being outside, being with my girls, traveling. I love traveling. Yeah. But again, my job doesn't allow me to do that as much. So, as I get
loving life though, aren't you?
As I'm getting to this stage in my career, I'm feeling like it's starting to kind of unfold in the way that I was hoping it to be. So I think these things will come in align and balance itself out. But I think travel really is the thing I love to do. Yeah,
I'm getting more of the itch back when Jennifer and I got married back in 2017. That was the first time I've been anywhere.
Oh my gosh.
Because I worked 5 nights a week running
all the time,
right? I couldn't go anywhere. Because that's the thing too. It's that they wanted me to run it. They didn't
Yeah.
want somebody else. The same with you. That I want you. I don't want one of your whatevers. I want you because you're the boss and
Yeah.
you're the best, and that's why I came to you. So travel. Is there any place you haven't been that would be on the list?
Do you know, like I have a good bucket list actually,
Yeah?
but Greece is kind of top on my list.
yeah.
I've always wanted to go to Greece or Portugal. You
keep
know,
hearing
I love
Portugal from so many
Bahamas too,
people.
or like Aruba or
Oh,
any of
yeah.
the small islands. Like
Yeah.
I would go literally anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm if you give me water and sunshine,
Yeah.
I'll go anywhere.
Okay. We're going to start wrapping up, but I got a few questions
Yeah.
here. They're just short. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
How many? I was going to say how many in a day. How many have you had today already?
Actually, 3 today. So I sometimes don't actually get to the bottom of my cups.
Oh, right.
So
fill
and I
them
don't
up.
like cold coffee.
Oh,
It's either
yeah.
cold or hot,
Right.
not lukewarm.
Right. Okay. Beer or wine?
Ooh, that's a toss up. I'd probably go for a white Pinot Grigio. That's kind of my go-to. But there's some days when it's a nice, hot, like sunny day where I'd like just love a Stella.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I did not name my daughter after the beer.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But I like Stella.
All right. Steak or lobster?
Lobster.
Yeah. You're a seafood guy?
Double lobster.
Double lobster.
We were just talking about all you can eat lobster. Could you do it? How many lobsters could you eat?
I don't.
Oh, you don't like lobster?
No,
you do.
I just don't see myself eating that many lobsters.
Yeah.
I'm a steak guy. for
Okay.
sure.
So surf and turf.
Yeah. 100%. Right.
Yeah.
5 years from now, and I sit down here again and talk to Madison, what will we be talking about?
You know, I think you're going to probably see that I've found a way to maintain my service with my clients here and maybe have added a couple people to help me do that journey here. And I'll probably be sharing my message and have some more to share with you about how I'm helping other people in a much bigger way.
Great.
100%.
And I don't think it's going to take 5 years, quite honestly.
Let's hope not. I would love to sooner.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Madison,
Thank you.
I'm grateful for your time, and our friendship
Yes.
matters to me too.
Always.
So thank you for that.
Okay.
Madison Twose.
Thanks for having me.
What a great interview. And we're going to put down below in the comments how you can reach out to her, find to her, and talk to her about, your real estate and maybe some other things too. So this is the point where I always say, click the like and the love. And of course, click the share button. It's the most important button. So you can share Madison and everybody else's story I have here. But as always, that's all the time I got for you this week. Have a great week and an even better week. And we'll see you next time right here on the show. Bye for now.